I love hearing stories of entrepreneurs who created their own opportunities. I'm excited to have a conversation today with Brian Winch. For over 30 years, Brian has been earning a six-figure income for what amounts to going for a walk each night. Now he's teaching entrepreneurs to do the same thing. If you're looking for inspiration in starting your own small business, listen to this episode where I interview Brian Winch, founder of Cleanlots. I think that's awesome. You've turned that into a book and are reaching out, teaching other people how to start their own businesses. That's a great idea.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. It's simple, and I thought, why not help other people in other markets? Do something like this. I would have appreciated somebody helping me out when I started, so I thought, well, why not share it and make a few extra bucks too?
I love that. Your company is Cleanlots.com, right?
Yeah, that's the name of my website, and my book is Cleanlots. But yeah, it's best to refer it to as Cleanlots.com.
Okay, that's great. So what is your personal definition of success?
Being able to do what you want when you want, and having the enough money to pay the bills to afford you that luxury. Okay. Can you share what steps you take daily to improve? Well, I basically want to move forward every day. I have kind of a plan that I set up each week, what I want to accomplish, and I just chip away at it on a daily basis, and try to always keep a positive attitude. Realize that there's going to be good days and bad days, and you just move on. And you're always trying to accomplish something each day. What is your advice for someone making an important decision? Well, trust your gut, and then do as much research into the opportunity at hand, and see if you can make it work. Okay. Tell me about a specific moment that set you on the path that you're on right now. Well, it was back in 1981. I was 21 years old. I was working a full-time job as a shipper receiver, and I didn't mind it. I'd worked at the same company as a part-time employee years earlier, but now I was out of school, finished high school, never went to college. The marks weren't good enough to get in there. Didn't have a lot of money in my bank account and not a lot of skills, to be honest with you. But I wanted to work for myself. And my father had passed away 3 months earlier, unfortunately, but he was always moonlighting. He always had something on the go on the side to supplement his full-time income. He was a janitor. He didn't make a lot of money doing that, but he had to find ways to make ends meet. And one of the things that he did was clean up litter from a nearby parking lot or shopping center. And he'd taken me along with him a couple times as a kid. And I thought, wow, this is easy. And it's almost as easy as going for a walk and making money. And so with that memory fresh in my mind, as when I was looking at possibilities, what can I afford? What can I get into? I thought, let me do some more research. Let me make some phone calls, to property management companies and see if they're interested in such a service. And it was maybe my third or fourth phone call, and I got somebody that was really interested. And he said, I've got 3 properties. I'm not happy with the person showing up. They're not showing up on a reliable basis. Can you give me some prices? And so it all started from there. That's how I got my start. And I started doing cleaning up the litter from parking lots or commercial properties as a side hustle. And a few months later, I left my full-time job, and it all built from there. I've been running this business on a full-time basis ever since then. That's great. So you were doing the side hustle before the side hustle was cool, huh? Yeah. Yeah, it was called side income or money on the side, or like my dad, moonlighting. But we'd never heard of those terms, side gigs or side hustles. That's awesome. Hustle back then probably meant something entirely different than it does now. Yeah, I'm sure it did. If you could recommend one book for our audience, what would that be and why? Well, there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and it was written by 2 authors, but I always remember the first one, unfortunately, Thomas Stanley. and it's been out for several years, probably 20, 30 years in various revisions. But they profiled a number of millionaires that live down the street. A lot of people assume that millionaires flaunt their wealth. They live in the biggest mansions, drive the most exotic sports cars, but by and large, they don't. They own simple businesses. They fulfill a need, provide a service or a product that the public wants, and they could live right next door to you, and you'd have no idea that they're a millionaire and they run a very successful business. And I took inspiration from that, and like the service that I provide, a lot of people look down at it. I admit it's not for everyone, but for those that enjoy working outdoors and like seeing the results of their work and like providing a service that is appreciated by the community, and especially with the environmental concerns these days, it's something that is worthy.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I love that you're teaching other starting entrepreneurs or young folks how to get into owning your own business, and it's something that's not a you're making six figures a year, right? On your or teaching people how to make six figures a year.
Well, our contract operations brings in close to $650,000 a year on an annual basis. I don't make that kind of money. The operations does. I've scaled back my hours now, so I'm probably working maybe 3.5, 4 hours a day, still cleaning parking lots because I enjoy doing it. And then I spend the rest of my time helping other people or showing other people through my website, cleanlots.com, how to do the same thing in their city. I mean, I can't compete with you. You can't compete with me. I mean, we're entirely different markets. And, I would have really appreciated this information being available when I started out. But of course, this was well before the age of the internet and everything. But now, if somebody is looking for a simple side hustle I'm here to provide the support, and also I offer free support too. So, and I can make that claim. I can offer that free support because I know it works. So if you work the business will work for you. So I have no problem helping people out.
I love that. That's awesome. What character traits do you value the most?
Honesty, integrity, and people. Reliability. People that show up when they say they're going to do something.
That's great. Yeah, I've been amazed with the numerous interviews I've scheduled and stuff. There's not been a single person that the successful people that have missed an interview or been late or I expected that we've got hundreds of people in the list to be interviewed now on the Success Motivation Inspiration podcast. And I figured, with just people not following through, not showing up for meetings or appointments or whatever, I thought we'd be dealing with a lot of that. And I have yet to have somebody that missed a call or whatever. So that's a good sign that people that are trustworthy and follow up on what they say they're going to do typically end up becoming very successful.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's I guess one of my biggest pet peeves is punctuality. It really peeves me off when somebody says they're going to meet, and I understand things come up, but if they don't communicate with me beforehand, at a meeting that, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late, this or that, they just basically show up very late and offer no excuses. I lose a lot of respect for them as a person and especially as a business person.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you push through tough times?
Well, again, I realize that there's going to be good days and bad days. If you're an entrepreneur or a business person, you realize that there's ups and downs, peaks and valleys. So you just have to realize, okay, today wasn't very good. You know what? It's just another day. Tomorrow's a new day. And there's certain things you can't control and, some things you can, and you just do your best the following day to try to make things better.
I love that. What's something that inspires you?
Something that inspires me. I love reading stories about, like success stories people have been successful and they defied all the odds. So, people have told them, you can't do this, or, you'll never amount to this. And there's all sorts of stories out there of how people, they don't listen to the naysayers and the pessimism and the doom and gloomers, and they find a way to make things work.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a huge thing for me too. I love seeing somebody that had nothing and created their own opportunities. That's a big reason why I was excited to interview you, or is that I don't know what your background was, but it's awesome that you went out and created an opportunity that's not only just paid the bills, but you're able to duplicate that and teach other people how to have their own business. So that's really admirable.
Yeah, I love that, and I take great pride in hearing people's success stories. Their success is my success.
That's awesome. How do you manage and prioritize opportunities?
Well, I guess, if there's little opportunities and there's big opportunities, the ones that are more attainable, you maybe try those first, and you just prioritize.
That's great. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Don't sweat it. Life gets easier. Things were difficult, and you always think you know everything at a certain age. When I look back to when I was at 18 years old, I thought I knew everything, and I thought I knew what I was going to do. I had a plan, but things change. Plans change, and you just have to move forward and find solutions. And that's one of the biggest lessons I learned from being a business person is you have if there's a zig, you zag. There's not always a dead end in the road. You have to find solutions. You have to be able to make things work. And in turn, there's that expression: if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
That's awesome. And I sure appreciate your time, and thank you so much for sharing. I know you're very busy with the book and the businesses and everything you're running, so I really appreciate you taking the time to share with our audience.
Well, I appreciate being a guest. Thank you.